All right, so this is War Machine episode 8. Moving right along. This is going to be a long episode because we're going to rebuild both A-pillars on this. Going to kind of try to show you in depth how I work all this out, and all the way from cardboard templates to finished product. So without further ado, here we go. All right, so got the body back up. Here is my cardboard templates. You see I taped them together and everything while they were still on the truck. I misspoke earlier when I said I was using 14 gauge steel. This is, I'm sorry, 24 gauge steel. This is actually 16 gauge. I'll transfer these onto the steel. I'm gonna cut them out. I've got a couple of areas like right along through here and an area right at the top. I'm gonna have to put in the bead roller, roll me a little flange on it. That way it'll overlap and I can plug weld it onto the existing A-post. Other than that, I might roll a bead kind of up through here somewhere, maybe up through here. I'm not exactly sure just yet. I'll have to go back and look at how it sits and where all the pieces connect. But I'm gonna get them cut out, get the beads rolled in them, and hopefully get this stuff drilled and put in place here in just a little bit. So stay tuned. All right, so it occurred to me that while a lot of this time I'm working on stuff and I say stuff like, I'm gonna use my plasma cutter and use the lift or my bead roller to roll a bead in something, it would be easy for you to get the wrong idea, like I've got like some massive, super awesome machine shop at my disposal. That's not the case at all. Everything that I use are tools that are easily attainable by anyone in their home, garage, shop, whatever. I've worked out of a 2-car garage most of my life. I'm fortunate that I'm finally to the spot now where I actually have this basement that I built to work in. So I actually have a little room to spread out and have some nicer tools. Like, when I say I'm gonna use my bead roller, make no mistake about it. I don't have some big giant ballet bead roller I can just feed stuff in and makes these pretty beads in and everything like that. I've got this guy, your basic hand crankable bead roller. I bought it for like, I think 60 bucks off of, I don't know, some metalworking site. I don't even remember which one. I've had it for probably 10 years. I think I've used it twice. I very rarely touch it, but it is handy to have at times like this when I need to roll a bead in something, or if I need to roll a flange on something. I built the stand out of some metal that I went and bought, so I mean, there again, I've got, a whopping maybe 100 bucks in the whole thing. As far as plasma cutter goes, there again, it's something that's really easy to attain. It's a Hypertherm PowerMax 30. It works on 220 or 120. It'll cut up to 3/8 of an inch thick steel, aluminum. It works really good. It's great for a hobbyist. I used to have a bigger one, but I just didn't need it. This thing works great for pretty much anything that I'm going to use with it. So bear all that in mind when I talk about using things like this. Granted, I do have a lift. I know a lot of people don't have a lift. I myself didn't have one until literally a month or so ago, as you've seen in some of the earlier pics when I actually had to take the cab off of the 77 outside in the driveway with a jack and a block of wood and this super sketchy lift that took me like a week to do to get that stupid cab off of there. So there again, like I said, just when I say that I'm using the bead roller for something to roll a bead or a flange in something, I don't have some fantastic machine shop to go use. I'm just kind of working with what I could get my hands on, and I make do with stuff that most guys don't have to work with. But is it going to be perfect? Hell no, it ain't going to be perfect. It'll probably be a long way from it. But is it going to work and be welded in strong? Yes. It's going to be covered in sound deadening material anyway. So if my bead is just a little crooked or a little bit off, I don't care. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect the form or function of the part. As long as it's built strong, that's the only thing I could really care about. So with that being said, I'm going to let you see the comical part of me rolling a flange into this metal right here on this bead roller. So yeah, you'll enjoy this. This ought to be nice and funny. You'll see there's our piece right here to go. All the X's are where I've got to drill holes for welds, but these two lines right here are two flanges that I've got to roll into this. That way it'll sit over top of the metal that's there, but still be inset so it meets up with the interior structure, so I can weld this guy up. So here we go. Enjoy. So I have to kind of start it in there a little bit, then kind of get my line at the edge here, right there. Then I crank my tension down on it. I really never know how much to do it. I just kind of guess at it, to be completely honest with you. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's how I figured out to do it. Usually I have to stand on top of the stand, even though the wheels do lock, because my arm's not quite long enough to reach over to the thing and crank it and hold on and guide the workpiece at the same time. One of these days I should probably like upgrade it and put an electric motor on it. I could do that, I guess. I don't know, maybe I will one day. So here we go. All I gotta do is just try to keep this little Sharpie line feeding for the most part right into the leading edge of this dolly here. And now you'll see what I'm saying. It's hard for me to reach and still see this damn thing the way I need it to. But pretty good. I just gotta go back up here to well, at the very top I don't have to. I can run all the way through because. Alright, so I don't know if you can see that or not. Like I said, not perfect, but it will certainly get the job done. Now I've got to roll one right across this line here. And then I'll use my hole puncher. I've just got a little handheld pneumatic one of those. I'll punch these holes across here. And I'll just actually have to take a drill and drill all those holes right there. So let's see if we can go on and roll this next one through. That actually went a lot smoother than I was expecting it to go. No, I'm going the wrong way. I gotta flip it around. Just like that, I screwed up, just that fast. Shit. Well, looks like I'm gonna have to turn the dollies over. I'll have to flip them around, that way I can get this piece flanged right now that I just screwed that up. So what I'll probably do is I'll just take a hammer and flatten this back out right here, and then I'll flip the dollies around right quick so I can redo them. My dollies flip back around now, so we'll see if we can get this. I got this hammered out just real quick like so. See if I can set this up in here and roll this last bead in this piece right quick like. Kind of awkward hold this thing out here like this. Be a good time for my son to be down here. I'll back it off just a little bit so I can get it to start. Once you get this thing set up right, it actually works pretty good. There again, I'm not a professional. This is not Chip Foose's shop. Perhaps if I had better tools, I'd get better results. I don't know. Maybe not. All right. So, there we go. I don't know if you can see that or not. Nice little bead across there. Just got to do a little touch of hammer work right here to make up where those two beads cross. But other than that, should be good to go. Now all I got to do is make all my holes in that guy, and I'll probably test fit it back in there and kind of eyeball. I had thought about maybe rolling a bead right here. It's not really necessary. This piece is going to be good and strong anyway, so I don't know. We'll see what time works out too. I'm going to drill the holes, clean this thing all up real good. That one is done for right now. And now we've got our other piece, because the piece of sheet metal that I had wasn't actually big enough to do that entire template that I had. Would have been cool if it was, but not really the end of the world. So I did it in two pieces. Basically what I did is I cut the lower one an inch longer on the top than it really needed to be. So what I'm going to do is I'll roll a flange right here. That way we'll overlap it. I'll weld it together right there. Be good to go, no problem. So I got to roll a flange here. I've got to roll a short one right there. Then all these X's, of course, have to be holes that are going to have to be drilled. This little dude right here will be mega strong with all this, with these flanges rolled on them and then welded all the way around like that. So should be a pretty strong piece. So let's see here what I can get going on. Should be the same right here. I'll have to back it off a little again like I did last time. You know what? Let's start from the other side. I can roll it right to it. There we go. Almost caught my finger. That would have sucked a lot. Alright, there we go. Tension is back. So, Let's see what we get here. It's actually a little easier coming from this direction because I can kind of pull on it as I look straight down the line. I'll tell you what, those guys that do this, do like that ornamental bead rolling on stuff, they do not get enough credit for how good they are, because it is not as easy as it looks, I assure you. Good enough for the chicks I date. Crank our tension back down. I have no idea what the tension is supposed to be, I just guess at it. If it's right, that's great. If it's wrong, I don't care. All I really care about is that I achieve the result that I'm looking for. I see an electric motor for this thing in its near future if I have to use this too much more. Hey! Turned out pretty cool right there now. Pretty happy with that. Look at here. Look what I did. Huh, it's on the back better. That's pretty cool, huh? So like I said, now I just gotta drill a bunch of holes. I'm not sure if my hole puncher will punch through this. Probably not, because then I would have to actually drill every one of these stupid holes. Let's see right quick. Pneumatic hole puncher. There again. Not something new and industrial. An old body man that I worked with a long time ago gave me this thing because he was retiring, and it does have a little flanger right here on it, which I have used from time to time. Normally I just use the hole puncher. So we'll see. It'll only punch so thick. Generally it'll punch the normal steel, the thickness of a normal body panel, maybe even some high strength stuff, but stuff that's as heavy as this is right here, I don't know. I'm gonna find out right quick though. This sure will be handy if it will. And that's a negative, Ghost Rider. Shit. And it's hung up on the slag from the plasma cutter now too. Oh, aggravating bastard. Yeah, it didn't even really come close to it. Oh well, so I'll get the drill out and drill these. I'm gonna go on and get them set in place and get them ready to weld. Then we'll come back and kind of give you a quick overview of how everything laid all out. All right, so finally, some rebuilding. I'm excited. It's been a while getting to this point. So I'll catch up. Let me show you where we're at. All right, so got our piece all clamped in place in there. All the welds are in it. She's all fitted up. Let's see here, let's see if we can look over this other side. You can see all the way down. First piece fits in there. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Super happy with it. Like I said, I'm always gonna weld to the thicker piece of metal, so popped some holes in this. Got a couple there. Cleaned off the back side here so I wouldn't have you know, a little fire with some of this old seam sealer or anything back here. We're gonna weld that from the other side. So finally ready to start burning some stuff in, start putting this dude back together again. Obviously it's still open down here, but we've got to put the second piece in. I'm gonna weld the top one in, go ahead and get all the welds finished on it, then put this bottom one in, get it all welded and finished up, and then we'll take a look at it all finished. And bling! There it is. Driver side's all welded in, finished out. See where we got our flange all welded in. Got up there, get it all cleaned up. We got her laid in there all the way around. So it was nice to finally get that much done. You see I got the holes punched across the pinch weld for the windshield there. So I can weld those brackets in. Next up is to do the passenger side. Pretty much gonna do everything we just did on the driver's side. So I reckon we'll get to making that now. All right, well, I've got the passenger side template laid out on this piece of sheet metal here. I'm going to do this one in 2 pieces as well, because this piece of sheet metal that I got is not quite big enough to do the entire thing. But I've already got it drawn out on here. Figured I'd just go ahead and take a video of me chopping this thing out with a plasma cutter. So let me get some glasses. We'll get going. Here, don't you? Just chalk it up to one of the other things that I still need to do around here. There's the beginnings like that of our passenger side panel there. So now I'll transfer the second half onto it. I think I've got another small piece here that might work better for it. That we don't have to cut on that big section. If not, I'll cut the big one. Ain't no big deal. Let's set that to the side. Just shut the door on this super noisy compressor room. Ha! Back. Kinda live. Alright. Let's see. No, this small piece I've got is not going to be wide enough, so we'll just have to use this big one again. No problem. We got it for you. Shades. Brown. Trusty quick rip. Trying to torch our stand there. No, it is not perfect. No, I did not think it was going to be. Yes, it will work and function great. Alright, so we'll use the rest of this and the rest of the metal that I have left to hopefully it'll be enough to make the rest of our flanges to attach the rest of the floor. If not, we'll get some more, no big deal. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark out all the flanges everywhere that they need to be, and everywhere I've got to drill holes for the rest of it, and we'll be back. All right, so getting ready to put this this panel in place. Now I'm going to show you on the exterior of the factory A-pillar on this. Let's see here. Let me spin you around. All right. Okay, this is the flip side. You see, there's the inside. This, we got it coated with a nice coat of etch. So that goes around. That's the inside of our factory pinch weld. So all of that area right there, and this piece here, right down through here, I'm actually going to I'm going to clean the paint off of all that. I'm going to take my hole puncher here and up and around through here and pop holes in that. I'm going to weld to the thicker metal through this. So I got to clean that off, put those holes in there right quick, and then I'll be able to position my new panel in place and get her fitted up and start welding. All right, so got my panel made. I dusted a little light coat of etch and some flat black spray paint on the back of it. That way it would just kind of give it at least some small amount of corrosion protect it once I put this thing on, because once I put it on, it's going to be sealed up forever. So I got to contend with this stupid antenna wire that for whatever reason I've not cut off. I don't know, maybe I'll reattach it one of these days. I doubt I'll ever actually listen to the radio. I'll probably listen to Bluetooth anyway. So, see if I can stick this guy up in here, get him clamped in place, and see if we can get something going on here. Get this guy ready to weld. Should just slide right up in here. We'll see how well that works. Alright. Not too terrible so far. Quick grips are a necessity for a job like this. And vice grips. Lots and lots of vice grips. Creep around the outside out here and see what kind of tapping and moving I need to do here to get it in place. What I like to do, you can see there's a gap right here, and there's a little gap to this inner structure and here as well. So what I like to do is I use these number 8 self-tapping screws, and I'll shoot a couple screws in it. The way it pulls it all up nice and tight. I want it to be as flush as possible, where I get a good weld. I don't have to worry about a big air gap or anything in there. Pulls everything up nice and tight so it fits like it's supposed to. It doesn't matter how many screws you put in it, just however many it takes to get the thing pulled up nice and flush like you want. Hell, I may put one in next to every hole. It doesn't matter. Whatever I have to do to get it to pull together nice and flush, that way I get a good fit. I go back over and I weld up all my screw holes after I'm done. Once I get a couple welds put in it, and I'll pull the screws out as I go. I pull all my screws back out, weld them all up. That way it gives a nice clean finish, and you know, everything's good and solid. So I'll get all this screwed together. I'll give you a look at it once it's sitting up on here. All right, so I got the passenger side of the A-post all welded in. So anyhow, there's our passenger side all welded in. Like I said, I'm still working on kind of cleaning it up just a little bit, but she's all welded in there. There it is. Well, there you go. That's episode 8. That's a wrap. That one got a little longer than my other videos have been. I like to try to keep them, 20 minutes or less, but I cut a lot out of that one. I cut it down as much as I could, but there was still a lot that I wanted you to see about making those panels and putting it in and how I go about getting it in there. Other than just, hey, here's the spot I need a panel. There it is, done. I really want to illustrate what you have to go through to get it done. I think a lot of these car shows and these build videos and these rebuild videos and stuff, they make it look like it's really easy to do, and while it's not extremely difficult, there are a lot of small things that if you screw up along the way will hurt you so bad on the back end. And not to mention just to show how you have to build strength back into these cars and things like that. You can't just slap it together and just you run a big bead all the way down the panel, because it's terrible because you put so much heat into the panel. That's why plug welding is better. It cleans up better, it looks nicer, it works better, it's more efficient. So anyhow, still got a lot of work to do on the floor. Gonna work on sectioning that lower section together in the next video. So come back, stay, watch more. I'd like to take this time to thank all my sponsors. Yeah, I ain't got no damn sponsors. It's just me. I have to fund this whole project, and it's no big deal. I knew all that when I took this on. Like I said, if nothing else, maybe one day I'll look back on this and it's a video that just chronicles how I built a cool truck, and I can watch it and show it to my kids or something when they get older. A lot of the small stuff does add up, like, you know, this pieces of steel, sheet metal, and things like that. They're the $30, $40 stuff along the way, but boy, it does add up. Be prepared for that if you start a build like this of your own. You get the big things like, you know, ooh, I got my wheels and tires, they're $6,000. I'm pretty much done. But honestly, it's the small stuff that nickels and dimes you to death, so be prepared for that. Be ready. So, got a lot more to do. Starting to really get a good handle on this floor. Hopefully, we can bang this thing on through and get this chassis back up off here and start doing some of the cooler stuff to actually make this thing look cool and not just be cool. So, subscribe. Hang in there with me. Hit your notifications. That way you know whenever I post a new video. I would love it if I've actually been getting some likes and I'm getting some views, and I would love it if you made it this far. Actually, if you hung in there for a 30-minute plus video, give me some feedback on my videos. Either you can email me or post in the comments, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, it's okay, it's good. You know, it's all good feedback to me. Let me know what you want to see, what you'd like to see. If you have questions, something you'd like to see me show more in depth. Thank you for watching. Show up for episode 9.